full of spirit, you're glowing. You're our savior, the one we've always wanted. So full of spirit and valiant, taking all the blame, bearing all of our shame. The nights are restless, but our love is endless. As long as there's hope, the flowers blossom. The sun is glowing, so we'll keep the love flowing. As long as there's hope, the flowers bloom.
Affection, affection, in all your glory. One day I know the world will hear of your story. Affection, affection, affection. One day I know you'll grow into a fine hero. Affection, affection, don't let your pride go. One day I know you'll grow into a fine hero. Affection, affection, affection. One day I know you'll grow into a fine hero.
Can't take it no more. I'm going crazy. Is this a game or is it love? Please tell me.
Hi! Oh wait, hang on. I think I have the alerts turned off again, don't I? Oopsies. Well, now you'll be able to hear the alerts. My bad. Hello, everybody. Hello, Mateo, Fuzzborn, Zach, Derek. How are you holding up? I hope well. I hope well. Hello, and thank you for resubscribing, Derek, and also Scarlet Rosea. Welcome in, everybody. Congrats on 6 months too, Scarlet. Hello, Harvest, Jenna. Hello. How's everybody doing today? You're holding. You're holding. I'm glad. I salute you. I chariot salute you. Let me put one in. I salute your sacrifice. Maybe sacrifice is not the right word. Salute. There we go. Hello, how's everybody doing today on this Thursday? How are you all? I gotta tell you, I'm on an emotional journey today. I've been having an emotional journey today. It's been a lot. You're doing okay? Nice. Wait, what? Today's Thursday? It's Thursday, isn't it? Great, it's Thursday. I'm like, please, it's Thursday? Jessica, hello! How have you been? I feel like there's so many... Oh, there's so much that's been happening. Recently. Don't worry, you're not the only person who has been left and then like come back and been like, hello. How's the roller coaster? I mean, certainly roller coastering, let me tell you, but heading in a nice direction. So that's the good fun thing. I have to say that whenever I receive so ever since I released To Be With You, I have gotten feedback from people who've been playing it, and that's been a really fun and nice and awesome experience. It's to receive feedback from people who kind of have gone through the same things and have similar experiences, and to hear what they say about the game. And today I received a message from somebody about the game that just kind of like completely completely blew me away. Just completely. I'm just like, my heart is blah, it's just gone. So I'm just like I was like, oh, I'm gonna stream a game today, and then I was like, I don't think I can stream a game today. Let's just like sit and talk and have a good time together that way. That was my thought. Hello, Thundertaker. Did anybody see anything good from that PlayStation the Sony showcase? Because I've been hearing about some things. I heard that Coder is gonna get relaunched for the PlayStation 5, and that's very exciting. I've always wanted to try playing Coder because it's one of my friends' favorite games of all time. One of my best friends' favorite games of all time. And I don't have a PS5, but I'm excited to potentially one day have one. What Sony PlayStation? Oh yeah, Sony did like a Sony showcase or something. People were watching it, I think. It's not relaunched, it's a remake. Yeah, yes, that is what I meant. A remake of it on... Are they changing much about it? I believe in you. Indeed, we all believe in you. We all believed in you! Like that Tyra Banks meme. But yeah, did anybody see anything else that was very interesting from that? Because I must admit, you guys already know this, but the only developer showcases I watch are the wholesome games and like Nintendo, because those are the most likely to align with things that I'm very enthusiastic about, which isn't to say that Sony and Microsoft don't have those things, it's just that they're generally less likely to. Oh, just a CGI teaser with the logo. Oh, got it. It wasn't that thorough. Hey, Mendes. No, before you commit to it. Yeah, I see that. Oh, another Spider-Man. Hello, Damasan. Hello. Yeah, I feel that with the PS5. To be honest, like, it was the same way for me with like the PS4 and with the Xbox One. Like, I don't think I got an Xbox One until like 5 or 6 years after it came out, and I got it as a present. So I think it's gonna probably be the same way for me with the PlayStation 5. And have they released the new Xbox console? I don't think, whatever. When that comes out, there's no way. I'm just not a big console gamer, I think, aside from the Switch. And so I'm not going to be getting those unless there's like a strong reason for me to, or unless I happen to receive them as a gift like 7 years from now when they're like Black Friday half off kind of thing. Because that's definitely what did it. Oh, are you talking about, hang on, I think someone sent that game to me. Are you talking about Tchia? Tchia? I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but I think that might be the game you're talking about. Hello, Hyperion. I live in Seattle. They rushed the next generation of consoles a bit too early just to compete with the Switch. Oh, interesting, interesting. I don't know that they rushed it to compete with the Switch, because I don't think that anybody was worried about losing market share to the Switch, but I do feel like, I don't know, it feels to me like this generation of consoles doesn't have as much of a purpose as the last 4. It just seems like, you know, they were like, oh, better graphics, and like that's fine, but like, I don't know, I guess like it used to be that every time a new console came out we were really pushing games forward, and like back in the day the how much graphics a console could do, how well they could do them, how much graphic. I have to say, I apologize for my English not being like super up to snuff. I've been doing a lot of German lately, and like it's made my grammar when I speak English get all kinds of messed up, so just I apologize in advance for that. But I do think that like it has, like, they were like, it's better, but like it's not that much. I don't know, it doesn't feel like the new generation of consoles has as much of a purpose for me. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. The Tchia looks really, just based off of like the brief amount of the trailer that I watched, it looks like really cinematic and like really kind of heartfelt and beautiful. I love that we're getting more games like that. I'm also happy to see that Sony showcased it, which means that Sony's like, here, we'll put one game out there for all the people who like that kind of thing. Which is me. For me, that's me, the audience. Seattle, what rating Seattle? Oh, is Seattle pretty? Yeah, I would say Seattle. I would say the city itself is, well, it's prettier now that they took down the freaking aqueduct. I just need everybody who's never been to Seattle to know that once upon a time we put up a a stacked 3-lane highway next to our waterfront. So you couldn't look at like the waterfront of Seattle without seeing a giant, ugly like highway driving past it. It was a travesty. So they took that down and it's gone now. Now the city of Seattle, like the skyline looks really pretty. The city itself is kind of dirty, but everything outside of Seattle and around Seattle is like amazingly gorgeous. We have like so much nature, so much land, mountains, like huge forests. Like it's really pretty out here. But the city of Seattle itself is a little bit gross. They should like fix that. Hello, Nathan. It's been a while since you've been keeping up with it. That's fair. Wasn't that the point of the last generations? I mean, the last few generations, yeah, the point was better graphics, and I think that better graphics had more of a point because the better the graphics we got, the more we were able to do. And maybe this is just because I haven't worked on games that are as big as the kinds of games that are like running on the PlayStation 5 now, but I'm just wondering, like, it doesn't feel like new capabilities necessarily were added with the PlayStation 5. I mean, they were, but like, it's not as, it doesn't feel, you know, it's not the jump between the PlayStation 1 and the PlayStation 2, is what I'm trying to say. You can see the wrinkles on this character's forehead in 4K Ultra HD. Yeah. But that does count as German. I would be happy to throw some German your way to see how you feel about it. It's a step forward rather than a stride. That's a great way. It's pretty because it's where I live. Oh man. Is the mountain out? Is Mount Rainier out? Man, the place where I live, when I like drive towards my apartment, I see this beautiful view of Mount Rainier sometimes, and then like sometimes it's just cloudy and I can't see anything, but it's like, it's really impressive to see it just hanging over the horizon like that, you know what I mean? And the Mariners, yeah. Reptile, hello! Thank you for resubscribing as an Alacritus Alchemist. Welcome back to the fold. Am I gonna play anything today? Probably not. Not unless we get really bored and the conversation doesn't go anywhere. Probably just gonna chill and talk. I'm still, I mean, I know you guys know this already, but my health has been really up and down recently, particularly my mental health, which a thing that I've been tossing around, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna do, but I've been thinking a lot about like the portrayal of PTSD in media recently. Hey, Voitim! Hello! Thanks for resubscribing. Welcome back to the fold. Wow, the pressure. The pressure. Oh, so from... That's fair. But yeah, I've been... Did I get Sonic Colors Ultimate? No, I did not. I did not, Sonic Joe. Having trouble sleeping for months now. Yeah, I've just been thinking about the portrayal of PTSD in the media, and I'm like pretty dissatisfied with like all of the portrayals that I've seen. I know that it's like a hot topic, right? And it's like cool for Hollywood to make movies about like people with PTSD, and we got like Batman out here being like, PTSD, this is what it is, and I'm like, and I've kind of been toying with, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna do this, so please don't hold me to this, but I've been toying with the idea of eventually kind of making a short little game that kind of in the vein of To Be With You, but instead of being like about the about like trauma. It's about like just the effects of PTSD and what that looks like in a regular day-to-day life where nobody's a superhero and nobody's like James Bond or whatever. We're all just people like trying to function, you know, and like trying to make a game to represent what that's like. Because I feel like there's actually a really huge misunderstanding of like how PTSD actually manifests in real people's lives. And that's a shame because I think that like people with PTSD should be like treated in a certain, in like a more generous way maybe than they tend to be, because people think PTSD is like this thing that Hollywood has portrayed it as, and like that's just really not going to help you understand the experience that like your friend is going through, you know what I mean? The representation, right? And also Dante, hello! Thank you for resubscribing. Welcome back to the fold, as well as Connor. Hey, thank you for resubscribing. Welcome back to the fold. Also, we have a hype train going, so if anybody wants emotes of doggies and kitties, then if we make it past level 1 of the hype train, you get an exclusive emote of a doggo or a kitto. And let me tell you, at this point, oh no, the first level is all dogs. At this point, I have like 9 emotes of dogs and 0 of cats, and it's an upsetting circumstance that we all find ourselves in. Hi, Don! All right, reading again. As in you have to be... Oh, interesting. What does /JKS mean? Does that mean joking? Joking sarcasm? You woke up, saw a beautiful view of Mount Rainier, and then stepped on a slug barefoot. No! I've never stepped on a well, I almost stepped on a millipede barefoot, but I have accidentally stepped on a snail with my shoe on, and like, I have never like, I can, oh man, the like instant horror. It's a lot. The berry kuchen! Wait, did you just post pictures? I know that you posted pictures when it happened, and I saw it, and like, oh my god, it looked good. Amfigure, it looked so good. And people sharing moments of your lives, and it manipulates what you think is normal. It makes it feel less than what most people see as normal. Yeah, I would absolutely agree. Cats are a luxury few can afford. Dawn, no, I want the cat. You just use the old school of JK? Joking, it's a tone indicator. Yeah. I've seen tone indicators, but I wasn't familiar with the JKS one. Hi, Smee. Aw, well, thank you for saying hi. I appreciate you dropping in. The recipe made 4? 4? Oh my god. Why do you need 4? Why would you need 4 cakes? Kuchen, man, I don't. I mean, I guess that's fine. I will say, like, let me just throw this out there. I love German desserts so much because they're not overly sugary, which I don't know if the recipe that you had wasn't overly sugary, but like, there's just a way that like my oma used to make cake and it was so good, but like, because I can't do too sugared things. German grandma's hosting parties. Yeah, I want to learn how to make some of the recipes that my grandma made. And my grandma was awesome. Anyways, yeah, Fuzzborn, as to your point of what you were saying, I think that that's very accurate. And like, I mean, one of the things that's been really interesting, I started going into, so I've been in therapy I've had PTSD for like the past like 7 years, and I've been to therapy multiple times for it. But I only recently, at the beginning of this past year, started doing EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. It's an extremely effective treatment for PTSD, which other treatments that we have had are just like not that effective. And so this treatment is much, much more effective and much more helpful. And so it's been very interesting for me to see, because I've done a lot of research about PTSD, but one of the things that like happens when you're researching PTSD from a patient, from like being the person who has it, is that you don't get a lot of like overviews explaining how it manifests actually in your life. And it can be kind of difficult to see because, like, basically PTSD is about repression. So if you're repressing everything, it's kind of hard to see how it functions in your life. And I didn't realize that I actually have, like, really severe PTSD until my therapist was like, hey, you know what I mean? And I didn't realize it, I think, because, you know, everywhere that I've seen people talking about it and everywhere that I've seen, like, I was really influenced by media portrayals of PTSD. And I just, like, in media, you don't actually see the way, like, PTSD is more of just, like, a dramatic story tool for people in media. Like, they're more, like, it's just, like, a thing that a character has, and it gives them, like, an inherent struggle, and it gives them, like, this trauma that you can mine. And then, like, a lot of the times what happens is they have, like, one moment where, like, something happens for them, they fulfill their character arc, they save somebody, they, you know, whatever they do, and then they, like, overcome it and it's done. And even during that process, you don't see, like, you know, you don't see, like, episodes, you don't see kind of how people, like, pull away from other people in relationships. You don't, like, see that kind of thing. And I've just been, like, really thinking about it a lot because I think it would have been much more helpful for me if I just had something that I could go look at and be like, oh, that's me. Like, I behave that way. I do those things. Oh my God. Okay, that's great. I like, now I understand that I'm doing those things because of my PTSD, and that helps me a lot. But, like, I, like, literally can't think of something that is, like, a piece of media that, like, reflects the actual experience of it accurately. Like, I've seen a lot of stuff, and it's just, like, it's really not there because it's used as a story plot tool a lot, which, like, a lot of mental illness and trauma is. But, you know, that's kind of what I'm mulling over right now in the moment. It was so good. Half a cup of sugar made 2 cakes. Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, Nat Merrick. Thank you for resubscribing. Welcome back to the fold. Enjoy your dinner, Dawn. Most of the hype train were started by you to get those emotes. Smart. Hi, Obi-Wan. This is why you use writing ABS? Oh, that's smart. That's smart. Even if I had gotten it, am I aware of its flashing glitches and what console you would get it for? Honestly, I do not know much about it at all. I do not really keep up with Sonic. I'm not like it's not like I'm not a Sonic fan, but it's just I didn't really grow up with Sonic very much. So I really like some of the Sonic games, but I don't like follow the series necessarily. I'm not even sure what consoles it's on, so I'm not sure where I would get it. Yeah, I feel that you use writing as a way to cope. Yeah, I feel that. I feel like for me, the way my writing works, there's just a lot of things that, like, putting things into writing helps me understand them. Putting things into writing helps me. I don't know. I write in a really. Oh. Let us see about this. Boink. Hey! So sorry about that, guys, but we're gonna go into sub-only mode for a moment. I'm also going to turn off alerts. So I'm sorry about that. I didn't see what anybody was saying. Would you mind, would you mind repeating yourselves? I'm sorry. Also, we're on sub-only mode for the moment. I'm sure you guys can see why, given what just happened. Oh yeah, so, this is actually a really great time. This is actually a really great time to talk about this. So I would like to thank all of the people who just tried to hate follow this stream, because this is a really good moment to talk about this. So, yeah, what's going on has been that there's been an ongoing campaign against Black and LGBT streamers on Twitch. And they've been hate raiding, they've been hate following, and they've been, like, trying to get people banned and all this kind of thing. So they've been like trolling people with the tags, trying to find people to do that to. So that's what just happened. They came into the stream and they wanted to share a bunch of bad stuff or whatever. It's fine. As you all know, I'm prepared for everything and we keep this shit on lock. So, you know, Jenna, it has happened to us before. I think for a stream that you were watching, it's just that they've normally done it in ways that don't impact the chat, and I may be able to like see it and shut it down before anybody knows what's going on. But thankfully we were all prepared, so it's all good. So yeah, I don't know exactly who is organizing it or why necessarily, but it's been a campaign that happened ever since Twitch opened up the tags to be able to let people like identify as what they are. And so the prep work pays. There's a reason the Discord is on lock. I feel bad that it's not open to the public, but this is why. It is a waste of everyone's time. Thank you, Fuzzborn. I agree. So there's actually a really big movement on Twitch at this moment. Because you know, I think it's been happening for over a month now. It's been happening for like since the beginning of August. It's been a really long time. And Twitch hasn't really done anything to help anybody. And there's a lot of different kinds of feelings that people can have about that, but at the moment right now there are people who are being faced with this kind of negative stuff and who are having to, I guess, just make do. For some people, this kind of thing impacts them a lot more than it impacts me. Because, like, some people are just, like, everybody kind of has different, you know, like, barometers for negative attention and stuff. And, like, I'm lucky that I've been through some things. And so because of that, I'm just, like, meh. And I'm, like, at peace with it. But for other people and people in like just vulnerable states and just when you're not expecting it, it can be really rough. And Twitch has just like basically abandoned people at this moment. They don't really know what to do or how to deal with it, and they were silent for about a full month on the issue before releasing a statement that they're trying to find a way to figure it out, but they don't really have anything. So why I hate when love is the better way to go, Fuzzborn. So you don't always keep up with chat. Yeah, the other one that we got was just like follower botting, which was chill. The Legend of Course of Depiction and PTSD for season 4. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Nathan, you might have just told me the only thing that would ever get me to finish watching Legend of Korra. Because I watched the season 1 of Legend of Korra, I really liked it, and then like, or I don't know that I really liked it, but I liked it. I liked it. It was pretty good. You know, and I understand the limitations that the storytellers were under at the time, so I have full respect for that. And then I watched the first episode of season 2, and Korra kind of like regresses in her character a little bit. And again, that's because of like where the story is going and like how, you know, season 1 and then season 2 through 4 happened. So I understand that, but Korra as a character when she is in her beginning early stages is like not super appealing to me. So I stopped watching, but I might want to watch now if that's a subject that they go into, because I'd love to, you know, the Avatar storytellers tend to do really good jobs. Yeah, so I'd love to see that. So this is a great moment to say that if you want to go after anybody on Twitch, absolutely, not go after anybody on Twitch, oh my god, but if you want to go after Twitch specifically for not protecting people, feel free to do that. There's like lots of campaigns going on Twitter, and there's like different avenues through which you can contact Twitch, but it would definitely help, because right now Twitch is just like not doing anything. 2 is something. The show was ahead of the curve in terms of social dialogue. Yeah, it was a big deal that happened, and like super cool that they did that. To be honest, I've always heard that the end of Korra is like really, really good, and for me it's just like, ugh. For me, like watching shows utilizes spoons, especially if I'm not enjoying the show. Whereas if I'm enjoying the show, it utilizes just way fewer spoons. Or if it's like junk food shows like Trading Spaces, no spoons. So it's always like whenever there's just anything that is like a game that you have to get past the tutorial and it's like 5 hours long, but once you do it's great, or like, oh, you have to watch the first season, but after the first season it's great. Unless like the first season is like, you know, Parks and Rec, where it was like 2 episodes and then it's over, it's a little rough for me. I will say that Parks and Rec's first season is awful, but the rest of the show is really pretty solid. There's a lot of like, man, just first episodes and first seasons, never take them at face value, especially not in the West. For some reason, we just like cannot nail it down in the first season. It was good, really good. Oh, nitpicking the political allegories. That's fair. It's always hard when you have like political allegories, because like it's just always hard to, because an allegory will only let you go so far, and so you can only get so nuanced with an allegory unless it's like a really perfect allegory. So yeah, I feel that. Man, I feel like it's really rare also to see allegories done well, because the other thing about allegories is that they have to be like really intentional in order for them to be real. Like, I think a lot of people say like The Wizard of Oz is an allegory for the gold standard, and it's not, because that's not how an allegory works, but it's like really interesting to see, because like it used to be gets English nerd, it used to be like 1,000 years ago, the only thing that we had was allegory, you know? Jessica! Oh, thank you for subscribing. I'm sorry that you had to just subscribe because of all of the things that happened. I apologize for that, but thank you for subscribing. Welcome back to the fold. If you'd like to come join us in the Discord, you can. As you can see, the Discord is sub-protected, so you're safe. But, yes, thank you. You know, I'm really happy to see that, I've never had to use that button before. I'm really happy to see that the emergency button worked out really well, even though now there's people that we can't talk to, which is a crying shame. But, that's what you get for existing as a minority in a prominent fashion on the internet. People are threatened. Oh, interesting. I know that with, I've never seen Adventure Time either. I know that when it comes to gay relationships and trying to portray gay relationships in especially like children's media, arguably, there's a lot of difficulties. Number one being that the networks usually don't want you to be able to explicitly say it. And then number two, that like there is a real and like unfortunate history of queer baiting with many shows, which is not to say that Adventure Time was doing it. I don't know it because I've never seen it, but it is to say that like there's like a history of people like having queer characters or implying that they have queer characters and then not letting those queer characters live up to their full experience, and like not letting them date, or just like having them be like Dumbledore, like how Dumbledore was like, oh, don't worry, Dumbledore's gay, and like you don't really get to see it, and it's not like an important aspect of the story, so is it really even there? And there's a lot of queer baiting in terms of like, oh, I think what was the show that did it recently? Supernatural, I think it was called Supernatural. There was some show recently that has been like teasing that two of these characters were gay for each other for a really long time, and then of course they don't do it in the end, or like they do it and they kill off the one of the gay characters, or both, you know, that kind of thing. And so you totally called the relationship in Cora? Really? Really? In the first season? I didn't pick up in it at all in the first season, although I did watch that first season before I realized that I was gay. So here we are. It was Supernatural, aha. When he, yeah. Yeah. Also, the love interests in Korra are trash. I like, man, part of the reason that I did not like the first season of Korra as much as I wanted to is that, like, it just felt a little bit like, and again, I don't think that this was the creators' fault, but it just felt like somebody high up at Nickelodeon was like, hey, people really liked Katara and Zuko and they really shipped them. You should put a character who's basically just a hot Zuko and have a waterbender girl and like just tease that relationship five ever and like have the relationship be a main central part of the show, which it like never was in the original last episode, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it didn't like, when I was watching the first season, I was like, all this stuff with this relationship feels tangential to the story that the storytellers actually want to tell. Like, it was just kind of teen drama. It didn't really tie into the greater story of Korra in season 1, at least, because I haven't seen the other 3 seasons. So again, like, I think the creators did a great job with probably the like list of restrictions that they were given, but it did bum me out a little bit. Steven Universe did it really well. An important part of their story, but overall networks really ruin the story. Yes, they really, truly do. Steven Universe was also a pretty strong, because Steven Universe and Korra were running at the same time, and like, in my opinion, it was kind of like a 1-2 punch with them. Again, I haven't seen Adventure Time, so I don't know what was going on there. But it was kind of like a 1-2 punch, because Steven Universe was really like, hey, let's explore queerness without calling it queerness. They were like, let's explore like being and like gender and relationships and like love and all the different ways that that can manifest. They take a very like, I would describe it as pansexual, but I feel like people would disagree with that. But they take a very like, love is a magical force and it can be anything you want it to be take on it, which I think is a great way to take it. It's like a great accessible way to kind of like explain to people like different ways of being. Here we go. So Steven Universe, which I never finished Steven Universe. I think I got like into season 2. It was really good. I just never finished it because it was long. It's totally the name. Steven Universe is really good. I mean, like, it's funny to me when I like on TikTok you see those things that are like, millennials had the best cartoons, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Avatar's Last Airbender, like, you know, all that kind of thing. And I'm like out here like, I don't know, guys. Some of these new shows are pretty ballin'. I don't know if you've like watched TV recently, like tried to watch a cartoon recently, but like, I don't think that we can just be like millennial shows were the best shows or anything. Maybe open your mind and gravitate, let your soul, or open your mind and agitate? No. Let your soul gravitate to the love, y'all. Yeah, I gotta go back and finish it one of these days too. At some point I will be like, I don't know, on a plane or something, and I will have the time to just be like, ooh, I'm gonna go through like, 15 episodes of Steven Universe or something. But binge watching shows, unless it's like with a specific person or it's a show I know I'm gonna like, is just like, it's not my preferred method of fun. I'm not a big watcher of things. I'm not a big consumer of media is what I think like, instead of being a consumer of media, my fun is like researching things just like way too much, like down to the nitty gritty. That's like, I'm like, this is fun. I want to learn about string theory. And like, here we go. So that stinks. That stinks. Yeah, I always like, when it comes to, it's not that I don't enjoy headcanons, because headcanons can be really fun and they're fine, but and stories can mean anything to the people who consume them. Like, once you make a story, it's out of your hands, really, as an author. You can just hope that what your intentions were reach the people and like reach them in the way that you wanted it to reach them. But when it really frustrates me often that there are, how do I say this? Yes, sometimes people will bend a story to their own agenda and it sucks. That's a great way of putting it. Also just like sometimes this gets like really complicated, and like again, it's just a thing that I think about sometimes. It's like, oh, depiction of queerness in media and like how fans respond to depictions of queerness in media and like what they do and how they, because like for so long it was like a empowerment for the LGBT community to be able to take characters and be like, they're gay, especially queer coded characters or queer baited characters, and be like, they're gay and like we're just gonna celebrate their love, and like that's where we're at because we didn't get anybody who was mainstream gay. Like we didn't get anybody who was just like loving each other and out about it, and so that was like the only way that you were going to be able to see it, is like going into fandom and like sharing that with people. But then at the same time you can have like a really like toxic version of that where now it's like, you know, if you're not shipping these characters, that means that you're homophobic, which is bad. Or like, I know that there was like a big deal in the Steven Universe fandom about like drawing a specific character looking a certain way, and it like the person who drew that character that way got like a lot of hate, a really unreasonable amount of hate for that. And you know, when it comes to those kinds of things, I just like it makes me feel really uncomfortable. I also don't like it when like in the pursuit of doing that, we can accidentally erase some characters' sexuality, and I mean, they're fictional characters, so it does, like, how much does it really matter? But it does make me feel weird. It's one of those things where, like, I make visual novels and there's, like, routes, and it always felt weird and uncomfortable for me to, like, do the everybody's just bi thing. It felt weird and uncomfortable to have it like you can pick whichever gender you want and then you can just date whoever you want, and that's more of a thing that people do for out of necessity because it's easier. It's so much easier when you're like making a game and coding, and it like cuts down on development time by a huge amount, and it makes sure that everybody's accessible and like all of that. And so there's pros and cons to both sides, you know what I mean? But it definitely like I don't know. I feel like there's an important aspect to people's like sexuality being part of their identity and not just like, I don't know, not just a, I don't know what the word that I'm looking for is. I wanted to say toy, and I don't think toy is the right word, but. Yeah, I definitely didn't keep up with Steven Universe, so I have no idea, like, what went down at the end. I do know that, like, I used to hear about Steven Universe all the time, and then I feel like it just, like, dropped off at one point, and, like, I didn't even really hear that the end of the show happened. It just, like, it was really big for a while, but it felt like the hype about Steven Universe dropped off before the end of the show finished. As a person who was just like observing, and I had a friend who was super into it as well. I used to watch shows with him. That's the real reason that I didn't finish Steven Universe, is I was like, oh, my friend's not watching anymore, so I won't either. I'm a social watcher. Yeah, it's always interesting to me as a creator to see how much something someone creates can just take on a life of its own. And like, Lonky Bay, thank you for resubscribing. Welcome back to the fold. For anybody who's shown up in like the last 30 minutes or so, we got one of those hate raids, so we're in sub only mode just as a protective measure. So I apologize for that for people who like haven't updated their subs in a while, but here we are. How are you doing, Lonky Bay? I agree. But more than anything, I'm just... What's the point? I don't know. They're they're trying to bully minorities and black people and LGBT people off Twitch. That is definitely the point. Resubs are still dope. Thank you. They do still help. I do still appreciate them. I do still like them. Regardless. I was waiting. I was like, I wonder if today, every time I've gone live for the last like bit, I've been like, I wonder if today is the day. On Tuesday, that was like part of the reason why I didn't go live, is because like I did not have, like, I was having a bad mental health day, and I felt like, listen, PTSD is no joke, and I felt like if I were streaming and something like that happened, I wouldn't be able to handle it very gracefully because my PTSD was just really like activate. It was just really, it was ready to party. It was like, do it, I dare you. And so unless people were watching it or didn't want to talk about it under fear of being associated with the fan. I mean, I'm sure. I know for a fact, like, we saw people drop off after, especially after that really big toxic incident, we saw people drop off. I don't know about talking. I think it's like, it's hard because Steven Universe is a show that was like so pure and it stood for all these good things. And to see something, and like, that's what brought people to it, is that it was such a light. It was such a light. And then to have it, you know, go in that direction, I'm sure just a lot of people were like kind of bummed. Because of the toxicity. That sucks. Man, that sucks. Cause like, whew, man, I can relate. Because I can relate as, you know, having made Asagao Academy in a time when things were fine, and to have progressed through time and have some things be not fine afterwards, and now have people have weird feelings when they approach the game, you know? I feel like I know what it's like to like make something that's like really good and you put your heart and soul into it and it has like all these like great values, and then to see it tarnished by the actions of other people that like it doesn't, like, that's really hard. And it sucks that Steven Universe was a big, I don't even see people talk about it very much anymore. It was such a big deal while it was out, and I don't even see people like reference it or like acknowledge it when talking about the history of where things are headed and anything. And oh, it had, oh, I didn't even realize that it had hiatuses. Wow, okay. Yeah, man, I wonder why it attracted so many toxic people. Because, I don't know. It's always hard with stuff like that. It's always hard. The Undertale fandom. Oh, the Undertale phantom. They were just obnoxious at worst? I mean, I guess so. I guess I never heard of anybody in the Undertale fandom, like, bullying people, but so many hiatuses. Oh, and long ones. That makes sense. From, like, a production perspective, there's just no way, like, I know that they had a plan for, like, all of the seasons, but there's no way that, like, they had, it takes a while to, because, like, Steven Universe was a really high-quality show, and it takes a lot of planning to be able to make a show that's that high quality, and, like, to make it on, like, a regular production schedule, the quality definitely would have had to drop, and, like, the quality of storytelling would have definitely suffered. So I understand why they're taking hiatuses, but that's one of those things where it's like there's no winning. Like, you get a better quality show in the end, but like you lose out on steam, on hype, you have people dropping off, and it does also, I do think that like really long waits can lead to like, I don't necessarily want to call it obsessive, but it can lead to like a really intense hyper focus. Because, girl, listen, I was on Tumblr before everybody said that Tumblr became a hell site, whatever that means. I've been watching Sarah Zed, and she talks about the history of Tumblr, and let me tell you, it's been a ride to, like, watch basically an internet historian be like, let's talk about Tumblr, and be like, wow, I was there on the fringes of all of these things. Like, I had friends who were into that. I remember this happening. It's been really weird. Because I never knew, like, the stories, you know? But I was part of Tumblr, and I had friends who were, like, I was in fandom, but, like, I wasn't really an active participant of most fandoms. I'm just a very fringe person in general, I think. I'm not often the person who's, like, out on the front lines, like, pushing things forward unless I really care about it. but I had a lot of friends who were deep into the fandom, you know what I mean? And so it was a really like, I feel like fandoms are fascinating to me, but also like they can become so toxic so quickly. Did 5 episodes in 5 days and then disappear for a while. Oh, that's a, huh. I wonder what kind of like agreement they had with Cartoon Network. That's pretty cool. I didn't know about that, Zach. It's like the Steven Universe family got really weirdly gatekeeping, and I think that really stopped people from talking about it as much. The gatekeeping. Why on earth would you gatekeep Steven Universe? That's like the last thing that the show is about. Why do people, God. But see, this is kind of like, we were talking about this like a while ago, but this is kind of like where, like, this is the negative aspect of aligning your identity with a show or a series or a game. It's not that it's always negative to do that, but it can be really negative. Like, you have to, in the same way that, like, you know, like watching a Twitch stream or watching a YouTuber or something, you have to like have your mental guards up because you need to be able to like look at them and be like, hey, maybe what I'm seeing is not like everything that is there, that is real, that is happening, and like it's really like, I really highly recommend having those guards up and not descending too far into the parasocial, you know, just understanding that somebody else is a person and that what they're putting out on the internet is like the best version of themselves, I would say. In the same way, man, that's a bummer. That's a bummer. Teens, preteens are less likely to have a strong grasp on their mental health. Well, it's not only that they're less likely to have a strong grasp on their mental health, their brains aren't fully developed, right? You don't fully develop your brain until you're freaking 25. So if you're 16, you're still like nearly 10 years short of that, right? Shows that appeal to that demo are sometimes doomed. Well, and I think that especially like as a teenager, there's a lot of just that behavior in general. Like, it's really normal in schools for people to get like cliquey and ostracized and like all that kind of thing. So it's not a big leap to be like, especially in school, to be like, oh, my identity is that I really like science fiction, and my identity is that I really like Steven Universe, and my identity is that I really like anime, and like to like really go for those things. And then if you have like, I don't know, the popular kid in school who's like, I watch anime too, you want to be like, no you don't, like this is my life, this is my thing, stay away, you don't get to take it now that you think it's cool. Like, there's a lot of that going on. People can get attached to an idea of a show, and it takes its toll on a creator. It takes a toll on the creator, absolutely. I don't know that I would like, honestly, if I made something and the fan base was toxic, unless what I was making was still actively helping people, and honestly, even if that were the case, like, I'd finish out whatever I wanted to do with it, and then I'd be like, we're done. Or, like, I could see myself kind of being spiteful enough that if the fandom was just so horrible, I'd be like, all right, I'm not finishing it. I'm not finishing it because you don't deserve this to be finished, because this is not, you know. And like people getting really like demanding of creators and like obsessive about creators, and because I know that like it's incredible that was happening. It's just so incredible that was happening, because like so often, like, who knows who the people are who make cartoons or shows or whatever, but for Steven Universe, everybody knew Rebecca Sugar. So, You don't think that's spiteful? You think it's cause and effect. That's fair. Some people would see it as spiteful, but those people are wrong. It's true. I mean, like, if you're a creator, it's your work, it's your decision to share it. And people get really mad. Like, Can we talk about how the internet has changed people's relationships to creators for a hot second? Because, like, especially being, like, a book person and then, like, coming into the internet, and then I'm also a gamer, but also, like, coming in as a book person and seeing how, like, wow, people really just feel like they can boss creators around, and they're like, you need to get on the next book, okay? I'm mad about, and, like, they get, like, really, like, demanding and just, like, especially in games now that happens where people are like, you should change this about your game, and like, well, I think this character would be better if you and like they get, but like I've literally seen actual demands, like actual demands, like I paid you money, now give me this, or even on Twitch, I paid you money, like I've been paying you money for months, now I'm allowed to be mean to you and you shouldn't ban me because I've given you all this money. And it's like, nah. I don't know if you guys know, but I appreciate all of your donations, but that does not mean that I owe you. I owe you the best entertainment that I can provide for you in a healthful manner. And other than that, you are not entitled to anything from me. That is our contract. Thank you. I don't know why I, like, start talking in a really weird... Listen, I've just been in a weird space since German. I don't know. Literally disbanded due to toxic fans. Aww. Yeah, I think that, honestly, like, my judgment on what happened with the Undertale fandom, because, like, here's the thing, there's people who are, like, really into Undertale, and then there's everybody else, and I think Undertale got a bad rap because everybody else was being a jerk and was going to people and being like, play this way, and stuff like that. I think the real, actual fans of Undertale were like, shut up, don't tell them how to play, like, you know, I feel like those were the actual fans of Undertale, but the, like, greater, just, like, you know, there was just, Undertale was just so huge that you had this huge population of, like, people who weren't, like, that big into the game, but who were all about it at the moment, and they, like, really wanted to tell you how you were supposed to play, which, no spoilers for Undertale if we can possibly help it. Just in case. With Game of Thrones and the fans bullying the actors and George R.R. Martin, I just, like... Whoa. Oh, man. I mean, it's true. And, like, to be honest, and, like, no, I'm, like, no offense, but, like, Game of Thrones a little bit set themselves up for it because, again, I talked about this last time, but they literally changed things in the show because fans guessed it, and they were like, oh, if the fans guessed it, then it's not a good twist, and they were like, gotta change, which, like, given that George R.R. Martin wrote Game of Thrones based on actual medieval history, it wouldn't be hard to predict where things are gonna go, because you can just, like, go read about medieval history, and then you get a pretty good sense for kind of how things rolled back then, so you can kind of assume where things are gonna go next. And so the fact that, like, one person on Reddit predicted where the story was gonna go, and they decided to literally change the story, which is such an unprofessional and, like, I can't express how, like, irresponsible of a decision that is when you're producing a show and you change the direction that a show is going, and, like, actors have to relearn their lines, and you might need to reshoot some scenes, and, like, how much, like... it's such a bad idea. Stories are meant to be at least a little bit predictable, because, like, stories that aren't predictable aren't good stories, you know? Like, if I just, like, picked up this glass of water and splashed it at the camera, that sure would be a twist, wouldn't it? Stream's over. Sure would be a twist. Does that mean that this is the most entertaining stream you've ever been in? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, like, it's definitely really interesting. I feel like if I ever got, like, hit somehow, like, that level of fame, and I just got, like, peak fame, I would be, like, the most crabby. I would be, because there would just like come a day when like just the wrong person at the wrong time like says something to me or asks me something, and I'm just like, no to everybody, no forever, I'm done, and I'm just gonna like lose, because that's how I go sometimes when it comes to like someone repeatedly doing something that upsets me. If I say no and like they keep doing it repeatedly, then there's gotta be a time when I'm just like, the door's closed. Like, I don't care. I don't know how those people put up with it, because it's also just a lot to have expectations. Like, George R.R. Martin still hasn't put out the last book of Game of Thrones, right? I believe, and he's like still working on it, and it's like taken him like a really long time, like a much longer time than the rest of the books, and like, girl, I don't doubt it, because who wants to, fame is a double-edged sword. Who wants to be that famous and to be like, there's like literally millions of people out there discussing your story and getting upset about it and like hounding you about it personally, and like, if you disappoint their expectations, some of them might literally like send you death threats and stuff. It's like a lot. Yeah, Patrick Rothfuss too. I mean, it's not surprising to me that neither of them have put out, like, girl, I would. And like, it's hard to end, like, that's the thing. It's easy to keep a story kind of ongoing. It's hard to end things well. And it's hard enough wrapping up an ending to a story if maybe like in the process of writing you changed some things. It's hard enough wrapping up a satisfying ending and like coming to terms with the ending yourself as an author and being like, I'm letting go of these characters. Like, there's a whole emotional thing that happens. It's hard enough to do that without having like millions of people breathing down your throat. You know what I mean? And it's okay to give them what they want, right? It's not a bad thing. Like, that's part of the fun of guessing, is that some people get to be like, I was right. Like, that's part of the fun. That does really suck. Oh, George R.R. Martin, he knows. He knows. He's right. I agree, George R.R. Martin. Yeah. So, like, honestly, if I were them, and like, LOL, I'm a jerk, but if I were them, high key, I would like write up the end of the book and I would like give it to my publisher and I would be like, you are to publish this on the occasion of my death. And like, that's what I would do. Like, I would be like, fuck, like, just because I'm like apparently a really spiteful person, and I'd just be like, listen, if you're gonna be that way, then you're not gonna get what I want until I've literally left this earth. Okay? You're not gonna get what you want from me because you can't demand things from me in that way. That's rude. Themes are for 8th grade. What happened to themes? What happened to like, really, what happened to themes? Why are people like against them so much? Like, why is it bad to have a show be about something like nowadays? Because if it's about something, it means that you can't easily change. Like, themes are like the best part of stories, and it's weird to, I guess it's also partially probably because of how people write things. Like, if you're a contemporary show writer in America, then usually what happens is you're like, I'm gonna pitch this season, and then you make it to the end of the season, and then you find out that you get another season, and then you make it to the end of that season, and you find out you get another season. And sometimes you get renewed for like several seasons. I think like smash hits like Game of Thrones probably get that. They're like, oh yeah, just make a season for all the books. But often you're writing in the moment like that. Robo Epic, thank you very much for the host. I am sorry, we are in sub only mode because we got a hate raid. So unfortunately, that's the situation. So I'm sorry if anybody can't join us in the conversation at the moment. That's why you love running TTRPGs. It's about empowering them and bringing them the things that they're looking for. Yeah, that's yes. I love that. That's a great way to put it. That's one of the things that I love about TTRPGs too, is because it's basically like improv mixed with games mixed with storytelling. you can really take it and like it's better if you're able to think on your feet and like go with the ideas that are presented. Not all the time, but like most of the time, you know? Maybe like not let's set the whole town on fire thing, but you know. Yeah, I've said this before, Fuzz, and I'm gonna say it again because I will never stop saying it. J.K. Rowling's editors and agents made the first 3 books what they were and like made them super good. And like, I'm not saying that the last 4 books are bad or anything, but they changed dramatically after she moved to a different publishing house and got a different editor, and like she got a bunch of different rights about how she was able to handle things, and basically how she was able to handle things was she got to put as much in as she wanted, and like her editors had less of a say. So there's a marked tone difference between the first 3 and the last 4 books, and listen, there's a literally at some point I'm gonna do like a narrative design discussion of that because I find it really fascinating. It's something I came across when I took a graduate level Harry Potter class in my college. So yeah. Wait, what? Wait, what to what? Yes, yes. Yeah, so Dungeons and Dragons, Warhammer, all that kind of thing, There's a lot of different tabletop games that people should explore. Just kind of like, have you guys checked out board games recently? They are popping off. You should check them. You didn't know that about the HP books? That's really interesting. It's why they suddenly got massive. That's part of why they suddenly got massive. There is a different publisher. She only signed a 3-book deal initially. And so they offered her something, but they didn't want to offer her like as much creative freedom. And the other, I don't remember which, there was Scholastic and I think it was Penguin House. And one of them offered her that creative freedom. It's really interesting, but as a writer myself, I don't necessarily think that like not having anyone look over your work or like having complete creative freedom is good. What is that guy's name? Who's the guy whose stories I hate in Final Fantasy? You know the guy. Cough, cough, him. Farmcat, hello! Thank you for resubscribing. Welcome back to the fold. Apologies. Nomura. Cough, cough, Nomura. Or cough, cough, George Lucas. You know? Like, there's certain people, like, a creator having full creative control is not always good. Like, there's a reason that stories are collaborative. Which people don't think about stories as collaborative, and that's wild to me. But stories are inherently collaborative experiences, and editors and agents are a really big part of that, because like editors like are like, hey, just so you know, this is how it's reading. And like, just like as an author, you just can't tell. You're too close to the story a lot of the time, unless you take like months away and then you come back to it and you can see it with like clear eyes as though you didn't write it. It's really hard to be able to like analyze it and like see if you're actually hitting the things that you wanted to hit. Like, it takes a high level of experience, and even then you still want people who know your specific tendencies, who know your specific flaws, to be able to stop you and be like, hey, you're getting a little too explainy, or like, hey, you're going a little bit too much into the lore, or like, hey, we don't really need this scene in the book, it doesn't really add anything, and it kind of like disrupts the flow of the story. It would be a lot cooler if we just went from this to this other scene, and that kind of thing. Yes. That happens to creators when they get too big. I agree. It seems to be a really common thing that happens. I mean, it's that myth of like, it's that, what is the myth of, what do we have it in the Western world? What's it called? One man or big man history, something like that. It's that myth that just like one person came in with like all the best ideas and just changed everything. Spoiler alert, but that literally happened nowhere. Like George Washington, a lot of people around him advising him and helping him make decisions. And Abraham Lincoln, same thing. Like all these people, it's the same concept. Farm cat. Oh no, that's so kind of you to do. That's so kind of you to do to help other people be able to talk in the chat. Thank you for doing that. That's very sweet. Farm cat has gifted 10 subs to the community, and it's your first ever 10 subs. And welcome back to the fold / for the first time, Elusive Goose, Moon Peony, Blasty, Jade, Totem, Happily Dismal, Taka No 20, Blender with Blades, To Serve the Master, Over the Rainbow Road, and Super the Underdog. Sub, bum, Auteur. Yeah, Auteur is kind of different. I feel like in auteurship it can work if the thing's really short. Auteur works can you just have to have a person who has like a breadth of experience in all of the roles in order for them to be a good auteur. Really into the idea of a singular artistic genius with a creative vision. They super do. Oh, gotcha, Mateo. Gotcha. Look at all the chair dances. Happily Dismal is a cool nickname. I agree. Yes, thank you, Farm Cat. I'm happy that you guys are going to be able to talk. That's great. Thank you. Yeah, again, just because we have more people in here now than before, we did get a hate raid, so we're on sub-only mode for our protection, but thankfully it was chill. Akira Toriyama had the reins taken off for the Boo arc in DBZ, which is why that arc is so long and strange. Right? Yeah, it's that very much, yes, very much that. It's okay, so like, here's the other thing, it's just that like, I don't know, I can't imagine what it would be like to be under that much, because like, when you're under that much pressure, when you're like, okay, we're just gonna, like, here's this show that's like, employing, oh, thank you. Ah, cheers, Damasan, cheers. But when you have like, here's this show that's employing like hundreds of people, right? I've been thinking about this for Running Man, which is a Korean variety show that I really love, because basically the whole show is one person, which is not, trust me, it is not to diminish the contributions of anybody in the cast. That show would not be the same without all of those people there. But the show would also not be the same if the main host, Yoo Jae-suk, left. Because Yoo Jae-suk is basically like the shining gem of Korea as far as like variety show hosts goes. Like literally he is. Like you can put him on any show and it becomes a striking success. Also, one of the few famous people that I've seen who just actually seems to be a incredibly terrific person. Like everything that I've heard about him is great, and like the only bad things that I've heard about him are that like he's too serious and he cares too much and he works too hard, and also once he used to be a smoker and that set a bad example for young kids, so he quit smoking so he wouldn't set a bad example for people. So like really good guy, but if he were to quit, then suddenly like the show's gonna start tanking. The show's not gonna do as well, almost 100%. So now he's got like 20 cast and crew, like 10 of the cast. He's got all of the marketers. He's got the company. Like he's got all these people who are indirectly employed because of his decision to continue, right? So it's the same thing for like writers. Imagine the pressure if like you're doing an ongoing show or something and they're like, all right, the reins are all yours, and like everybody's expecting you to be like a creative genius and to know what you're doing. Imagine how hard it would be to be like, I don't actually know what I'm doing, especially if like you admitting that you don't know what you're doing means you're gonna get paid less, right? And like no author wants to give up creative control over their world, especially when giving up creative control can go so disastrously. Because like I'm talking about this, but sometimes you don't have a great working relationship with your editor or your agent or whatever, and then you end up getting into this position where like, you know, you have Nickelodeon coming in from on high and they're like, we think it would be great if Cora dated a Zuko type character. And there was a lot of ship teases, and there was a lot of fighting about who dates who and all that. You know what I mean? It's I can't imagine how much pressure that is. And like, there's so many decisions that you would have to make. Like, George Lucas, I kind of feel bad for, I mean, I guess I don't know anything about the guy's personality, but I kind of feel bad for, like, sometimes I've seen like behind the scenes footage of him and the guy just looks exhausted. Imagine having to make decisions about everything from like the script to the character motivations to what props are even gonna be made, to what kind of materials should we use for the props, to how are we gonna do all these scenes, what about the special effects, which ones are gonna be CGI, which ones aren't gonna be CGI, how should we shoot this, what camera should we use, from what angle, like having to make all of those decisions basically by yourself. Like, at a certain point, your brain's just gonna fry and it's gonna rot and you're not gonna make good decisions. When I look at, like, Nomura's work, I see somebody who needed to, like, have a gentle hand placed upon his shoulder and somebody to be like, hey, this stuff is impossible to follow. I feel that way about, like, Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicles, which if anybody's seen that show, it's just a like, like, I don't need any I'm not going to tell you guys any spoilers, but like, I just want to say that that show goes into like multiple clones, multi-dimensional, multiple universes, alternate realities, magic is real, like memories create a person, you can impersonate like it like goes so far in and there's like all these concepts you're having to keep track of and like you don't even remember which characters are which anymore because there's clones walking around. Like it's just a lot. And like, Tsubasa finished, but like most people who read Tsubasa are like, yeah, I've read it like 6 times and I still don't really understand what happens. And Clamp, they like rotate who like each new show they do, a new person's in charge. So like one person's in charge of art direction, the next show that they do, the person's in charge of the story and the script and like all of that. So they swap over and like the lady who is in charge of the script was like, I do have a tendency to get a little bit overcomplicated at times. And I was like, understatement of the year. And that's a damn lie. Exclusive homebrew content. You don't think the worlds you've written would be the same or as good or interesting if you didn't go out of your way to include people's creative ideas. I mean, I think that that's a thing that, like, so that's, like, one of the things where, man, and I cannot express to you how many ways I feel about, like, encountering other writers in the wild, because, like, you just never know a writer's background. Like, some people come from poetry, some people come from theater, some people come from, like, computer science, some people, like, this is their first time writing, some people were a game designer and became a writer, some people came from books into this, some people started with this, and so you get, like, and, like, again, nobody thinks of writing in the way that I do, where, like, there's a bunch of base skills and you can tweak them up and down depending on the kind of story that you're telling, right? And so for so many writers, they learn about writing and they practice writing by themselves in a closet where they're afraid to show anybody what they've written unless they've gotten it really good and really polished, and even then they're absolutely terrified of what you're going to say to them. And, like, it's not, they don't think of it as collaborative of an experience as you might if you had experience doing improv or doing stage work or writing shows through improv and stage work, which I have experience doing, and, like, kind of just being like, oh, that's great, throw it in, and, like, you know, that kind of, like, oh my gosh, and, like, just showing people your work where it's at and not being like, oh, you know, just so you know, your writing's bad, like, why would you do that with the first draft? But so many writers are used to, like, hiding in the closet, and, like, they feel criticism is a really, like, intense, scary threat, which is what happens when you don't go out and, like, when you don't go out and seek criticism as a writer. It is really scary. And, like, you know, you're a writer, and when you write, your writing's usually, like, your heart and soul, so it feels very vulnerable to give that to people. Like, it's usually, like, it's like a chunk of your soul, and you're letting people read it and tell you whether it's good, right? So it's really scary, but But being unable to open up to that kind of feedback is so disastrous for writers, because you just cannot assume that all your ideas are the best. You cannot assume that the way that you want to tell the story is the best. You can't assume any of those things, you know? A wild writer appears. But they give such good ideas. I mean, it's one of the things about writing and about any creative pursuit is that, like, nobody is going to create the kind of work that you create, because nobody has your exact history. They don't have your exact background. They don't have your exact, like, religious experiences. They don't have your exact relationship experiences. They don't have your, like, biochemistry. They don't have your perspective on the world. And certain ideas are just not I can't tell you how many times I'm like, here's my idea for a thing, and I feel like the idea is just really boring and bad, because for me it's a really obvious idea, and then other people look at it and they're like, I never would have thought to ever do anything even remotely like this. And that kind of thing. And the same thing happens for other people, where they're like, I know that this is a really bad suggestion, but eh. And I'm like, what? That's amazing! What? And so when you're a writer and you hold stuff like that back, it's really, it really hinders you. And like at a certain point, you just run out of creative juice. There's only so many ideas that a person in a particular span of time can create, and being under pressure, being under stress, having intense deadlines, having like really high expectations that you have to reach, all of those hurt it. Like, imagine writing a story, thinking it's going to end a certain way, realizing that you can't actually end it that way anymore, and a lot of the ways that you should be able to end it, like, don't really work out, and you're not actually sure how to end it anymore. But to add to that, you have like a million's people's expectations bearing down on you. So what initially was like an, ooh, darn, I didn't think about this, becomes on like, like an, oh, like a really scary. This is why some writers write like a whole trilogy of books in one go, by the way. I think it's a really smart, I don't know that I would do it, but it's a really smart way to go about it, because like there's so many times when I'm like reading a book and I'm like, you definitely published the last 2 books without fully understanding how you were going to get to the end, and now the end is weird because you weren't sure how to do it. And I, like, as a writer, I can see it when other writers get there. Also, being a writer is really funny because like I'm like watching stuff and I'm like, like, you can tell so much about a writer from, you can tell so much about people from the way that they put words together and like stuff like that. So I love when I can like pinpoint the moment, like, and that's where the network got involved, or like, and that's where they found out they had 4 more episodes than they initially thought that they did. You know what I mean? See How I Met Your Mother ending. I have no idea how I Met Your Mother ended. To be honest, that show has only given me really, like, particular vibes that it's not for me. I agree, Fuzzborn. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely been moments where, like, you know, you read something from a fan and you're like, damn, that's good. Even me, like, the feedback that I got for To Be With You Today, which... is still incredible. I'm still having a hard time coming to terms with it. But the feedback that I got from To Be With You Today, at the end of the email, the person was like, hey, by the way, like, here's an idea that I had. And I was like, you know what? That's a really good point. Like, that is a good point. That's a good idea. You know, I'll probably do something with it in the future. People can have good ideas. And also, like, sometimes, like, I see people doing things and I'm like, oh, why didn't I think of that for the character? Like, you know, and like, that's a great place to be. That's a great place to be. Like, it's a much worse place to be like, no, the way that I wrote the character is the best way and you're wrong. And like, I don't know. I have a lot of like really like unfortunately strong opinions about like, I've run into a lot of other writers in my time, and generally I like other writers, but like writers can be notoriously difficult to work with. It depends on the person, it depends on the field. Like, if you're in a field where collaboration's expected, it's not that big of a deal, but if you're throwing together somebody who's never collaborated with another writer before, with somebody else who's never collaborated with another writer before, or you have somebody who's like really sensitive to criticism, or, you know, like that kind of thing, it can get a little bit sticky. So yeah. Oop, that's no good. That's no good, Connor. Every retrospective about the Disney Star Wars movies. Some writers are buttholes. It's absolutely true. Some writers are just like, I'm like, I'm never gonna not go after this type of writer, but like, shout out to all of the like freaking 20-year-old white boys in my college classes who thought that they were the next Ernest Hemingway and were like so uppity and like so insulting to everybody else in the class and just like really pretentious, thought their writing was the best, and then you get their writing and it's not even good. Which is not to say that all of the 20-year-old white boys in my writing classes were like that. It's just to say that only 20-year-old white boys were like that in my writing classes. Man, there's like one guy in my writing class who I wish I still remembered his name because he wrote the like coolest sci-fi short story. And I was like, oh, he could probably get this published like today. And I like I want to see it. It was like such a cool idea and I don't want to repeat it. Because it was his idea, but like it was really good. Anyways, you like self-absorbed as a better way to describe those types of writers? Better way compared to what? Self-absorbed is not the best way to put it though, because I feel like a self-absorbed writer is because like I feel like I've seen a self-absorbed writer, and like the self-absorbed writers are the ones who are like, I'm gonna write this like 50-page introspective short story that's not about anything in the short story, but is actually about just me and my life and my emotions. They're so important and interesting, aren't they? And you're like reading it and it's like just kind of like regular everyday, like it's not that it's not, I mean, it is bad. It's not enjoyable to read because it's mostly somebody like introspecting their own navel in the guise of a story. So the story part's not good because that's not what the story was about. The story was about like this person figuring out how they feel about something relatively mundane. Stories like that can work, but they usually work when the thing that the author is grappling with is like a really big, profound thing that's hard for someone to grapple with, and not when it's like, my mom yelled at me the other day, and you're like, okay. Not that that's what it was about, but you know, when it's like something where it's like, okay, you just made me read like 50 full pages of, you know? D&D doesn't scratch that. Oh yeah, comedy video, like comedy is a really particular itch. It's really hard to scratch that itch. I get you. And it's like it's hard to find people who are open to doing like collaborative comedy and stuff like that as well, because it can be really scary. That quote has resonated with me as well. Unflavored oatmeal with oat milk. Yeah, there's so many like, yeah. It's not that like these people couldn't be good writers. It's just that like, especially in America, I feel like, I don't know if it is, but I feel like it's a particularly American thing because like the legacy of like famous writers in America is very much like Ernest Hemingway. Like it's like some guy who is like arguably pretentious, maybe not, but arguably pretentious, who is like, I know the truth of the world, and like goes on his way telling everybody how wrong they are about like, you know, it's like, which I do have to say this. I have been meaning to say this. I keep forgetting. I need to say this. I owe Henry David Thoreau an apology. I owe him an apology because I was super judging him, but especially when we played the game Walden, which was about him. But I learned more about him recently, and I found out that the way that he is portrayed now is not the way that he portrayed himself back in the day. Like, Henry David Thoreau, for those who don't know, is like the author who like went into the woods, went into a cabin, and like the story that we hear is that he's like, I'm gonna remove myself from society so that I can be like pure and I can write the best things and I can be so artistic. And then you find out that he lived like literally 5 minutes away from his mom, and his mom did his laundry and like baked him cakes, and he like went into town all the time, and you're like, I mean, but like he gets brought up again, usually by these like really pretentious writers, as an example of like, yeah, man, I'm really countercultural. I'm gonna leave society and go into the woods and like that kind of thing. And I learned that actually he was a transcendentalist, which means more so that he was like, rather than him being like, I'm gonna leave to the woods because society is beneath me, he was more like, I don't enjoy participating in society because I feel like it is forcing me to act in ways that do not accord with my values. So I'm gonna go live in this cabin in the woods, and I'm gonna do the best I can to be completely self-sufficient and also not pay my taxes because I don't support the war that's happening right now. And he just like went there and he just wrote while he was there and just like kind of like was talking to himself about his own experiences and just like doing his thing, and was more influential as an aspect of transcendentalism, which is that idea of like, hey, I'm gonna go do my own thing. I want to live according to my own values. I'm not gonna participate in the values society is assigning to me. And less about him being like, it is beneath me. I will live like a hermit in the woods where I will never see a person again, which is definitely the way that he was introduced to me. So I owe him an apology. He's actually a pretty chill dude. He's pretty cool. He like was like, yay, women's rights and like anti-slavery and like all this cool stuff. And I'm like, he got arrested for not paying his taxes. And then his friend was like, bro, I'm gonna pay your taxes so that you can come out of jail. And he was like, don't pay my taxes, dude. That's the point. I don't want to help the war. Don't pay my taxes. And the guy like paid for him to get out of jail, and he was so mad. So yeah. Cheers, Mateo. You've seen the best comedians are often the less conventional in their humor. I think it can really depend. I think less conventional humor, it depends on what you mean by less conventional humor, because there's two kinds of less conventional humor, right? There's the kind of less conventional humor that is like legitimately less conventional because it is like constructionally less conventional, like the way the jokes are constructed is not a normal way to construct jokes in the West. And then there's like less conventional humor where like the less conventional part is like, LOL, we're not politically correct. And people use both terms interchangeably. So it depends on which you mean. But what I do agree that like the best comedians are exploratory, and they're like pushing the boundaries of what comedy can be and do, and they're being really honest. All comedy is honest. If you're not honest, it's not going to be funny. It's really funny how pretentious he used to be. It is very funny how pretentious he used to be. He is still a little bit pretentious. Like, not that, like, it's not a... Listen, pretentiousness is not like some inherent thing that if you have it, you're doomed and nobody's gonna like you and you're an unenjoyable person to be around, but he is still a little bit pretentious. So it makes sense when he like talks about his youth, and also when I read Looking for Alaska, I think. I read it and I was like, boy, I hate this protagonist. Which, you know, that book is like definitely written from the perspective of a teenage boy, so it makes sense that I personally would not enjoy being in the head of a teenage boy, because I did not like teenage boys at the time that I read that book because they were very annoying to me personally. So it makes sense that I read it and I was like, oh my god, why is this guy the most insufferable, and why is he so weird about Alaska, which is like the point of the book for sure, but that didn't mean that I enjoyed it. So, but John Green is like really interesting as an author. I was like in college at the time that The Fault in Our Stars came out, and all of my like college professors started being like, John Green, and he like went really mainstream, and I was like, this is weird, because I was also a nerd fighter before that. wanted to name it the why would you name it the sequel instead of Looking for Alaska? I'm glad he named it Looking for Alaska. You know what? Naming things is hard. I'm not going to judge him that much. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I get what you mean, Fuzzborn. You really got to be able to do whatever kind of comedy is your jam. Like, you can't be loose if you're not a loose person, you know? Comedy is really just about honesty in a specific kind of honesty. That's one of the reasons I really like about comedy, is because you can learn how to get away with saying stuff. If it's comedic, that you like, you know, you're not allowed to be blunt and say in around white people. But or just like, you know, in like party. I'm just saying black people are usually more blunt about things because we don't have the same kind of social codes that happen. Also Germans. Also Germans are the same. But yeah, you sometimes see people trying to like just be something that they're not. And that's a little rough. Or, you know, you see a comedian who is like doing material that they haven't completely honed, which is the only way that you hone material is by doing it repeatedly and trying to hone it. So there you go. But you know when you get a joke that's like they're still working on, you know what I mean? It's very interesting. I do love comedy though. I haven't seen a good comedy special pop up on Netflix that I want to see in like a little while. Every now and then I go and I like watch comedy specials, and like there's a couple of comedians that I've really liked, and then there's a bunch of comedians that I've been like, you're just fine, and like I don't want to watch more, but I didn't dislike them, but like they're not funny enough for me in particular, you know? Like John Mulaney is very funny for me. He's very funny to me. He can make me, he's like probably peak funny for me because of the Netflix specials that I've watched anyways. Because I just really like his delivery. But yeah, if anybody has any good recommendations, send them my way. Which Hannah? That's big. You're somewhat capable of improv. Maybe you should. Oh my God, Dante. Actually, yeah, if you've been wanting to explore collaborative comedy, you should definitely explore improv. To be clear, improv is not necessarily about being funny. Like sometimes people try to do improv trying to be funny, and it's usually more funny to do improv just completely. What I'm trying to say is that in improv, the mundane is often more funny than like the things that you would think would be obviously funny. When like somebody's like, everybody walks around like a chicken, then what you get is like a bunch of people walking around on the floor balking like chickens, and it's funny for like 2 seconds, and then you need something else to do, you know? But like improv is really, really fun. It has a very similar vibe to creating comedy videos, I would say, because it's like really collaborative, and like just prepping for, like, literally prepping for improv is just playing games for hours. It's the best. Like, improv is really fun, and I would recommend anybody to check it out because you don't even need to be good at it to have fun. You can just show up and play the games. It's great. Hannah Gadsby. Let me look her up because I usually only remember people from what they look like or the front covers of their things. Oh, okay. I think I saw one special by this person. I think it was fine, if I'm remembering right. Like, I remember seeing, what pronouns? She. I remember seeing her on stage. I remember laughing at like some of the jokes, but I don't think all of them landed for me. But I don't think I would be opposed to trying another one, you know? Sometimes you just, like, the topic doesn't jive with you, you know what I mean? One of the only open lesbian stand-ups, you know? That makes sense. Improv is more expensive, which is what makes it funny. What do you mean more expensive? Gabrielle Iglesias. Okay, let me look. Gabrielle Oh, Iglesias? Oh my god. Okay, I've definitely seen this person before. I've seen them before. I have no idea if I've seen their comedy, but I've seen them. Do they do a lot of like, oh, expressive, got it. Okay, that makes more sense. I was like, how is improv more expensive? Yeah, I'm not sure if I've seen any of this guy's stuff. I'm really, just as a heads up, well, you guys have probably picked up on it. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of crude humor unless it's really deftly employed, right? I'm a really like cerebral humor person. I like jokes that kind of feel like puzzles. You guys would have never been able to guess. Warren! Warren, hello! We're in sub-only mode because we got hate rated earlier. LOL, as you were... I, like, left your stream where you were talking about the hate raids, started streaming, and immediately got hate rated. I was like, ah! But yes, hello everybody, welcome on in. I'm so sorry that we won't be able to chat with you because we're in sub-only mode for our own protection at the moment, but thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in, everybody. We're talking about comedy. Raider's just gonna have to watch. And Warren is not really streaming anymore, but follow him anyways. Because when he does stream, it's probably gonna be charity streams. Happy birthday, by the way! Happy birthday, happy birthday! Happy, happy birthday. Yeah. What are you gonna do for your birthday? I'm gonna do something cool. I don't know why I did that. Big dinner. Ooh. Okay. Good decision. Good decision. Hell yeah. Get out there. Get out there. Go eat your food. Send me one picture. Not like, don't send me a picture if it's got any bread in it, but send me a picture. Something I can eat. Let me live through you vicariously. Yeah, well then maybe I'll check them out if yeah, we'll see. Humor is so very particular to like individual people, you know. It's really hard to be able to say what somebody find. Oh wait, never mind. I like dry humor. That's what it's called. I like dry humor. I would love to be a person who has dry humor, but I don't think I'm a person who has dry humor. I'm just too expressive. But I really like dry humor. Sorry, I have gotten distracted by something on my screen. One moment. Gotcha. Okay. Cerebral humor. He was very anti-racist, but told jokes that make people think about modern day issues. I have not heard of any of these people. Not heard of any of them. No, have no idea who this person is. I mean, if they have something on Netflix, I'll give them a try. I'm always down, like, you know, I'm always down to laugh. I'll always try watching people. I'll always try watching people who are doing comedy and seeing if we jive. It's just one of the, you know, if it doesn't land, it doesn't land, and that's just kind of how it is. It's one of the best things about like comedians being a profession is that like we actually need all of the different comedians out there in the world because there's like so many different kinds of humor that you can have. So like you need so many different people because no one's like sense of humor and life experiences need to align for it to be funny. You know what I mean? We're gonna play a Nancy Drew soon, by the way. Give me a hot second, but we're gonna do it. Also, Kai the Hero, thank you for following. Enjoy your apprenticeship here. I'm sorry that I didn't see that earlier, but we also had to turn off follows. We also had to turn off follows recently, so there you go. Let me see if that's still happening or if we're like... All right, I think we're good. I think we are good now. I don't think I have a sub only off thing. You got rid of the stragglers earlier. Okay, thank you for doing that. I will tentatively... Oh my god, where is the button to go off of sub only mode? Twitch does not make this easy. There we go. Boop. Okay, there we go. Now, hopefully people should be able to participate for the end of the stream. Hopefully people will be able to participate for the end. Heck yeah, more Nancy Drew. Yeah, we're getting really close to the end as well. So, the last of the Nancy Drew stuff. So that will be a lot to experience. Let me tell you. I don't know how I'm gonna feel when I hit the last Nancy Drew. I'm gonna be so sad. Freedom! Epic, hi! Yay, more people are allowed to talk. Welcome back in. Welcome back in. Again. Oh, and let me resume the alerts as well. So now alert. Nope, just kidding. Hang on. Skip alert. I'll reload them. There we go. Nancy? Wait, what happened? Not the end? Hey? Oh, the end of Nancy's? We're just almost out of Nancy's to play, but I'm pretty sure that once I finish all of the Nancy's in Junior mode, I'm just gonna go back and play them in Master Sleuth mode, so don't worry, there'll be more Nance. Yes, welcome back to everybody who couldn't chat for a while, and I'm sorry about that. No, chat didn't die. We got a hate raid, and so we had to go into sub-only mode. Mwah. You say you like dry cerebral humor, but there's a scene in Harley Quinn where Aquaman makes a "that's what she said" joke and you can't stop giggling. Hey, a good joke, like a well-timed joke, is a well-timed joke. It doesn't matter whether it's something you would normally laugh at. Sometimes just solid timing is the only thing you need to be like, boom, I'm destroyed. Right? Like I said, I don't tend to like potty humor, but that doesn't mean that that I can't laugh at it sometimes. Aquaman is a himbo. Oh, yeah. The Sierra games are definitely on the list. Bad bots are gonna be getting the boot. Prepped for this garbage. Prepped and unfazed. I hope I made some of them angry by immediately advocating for Black and LGBT rights and telling people to, you know, contact Twitch. It's fine, but I'm really just not the person that they should waste their time, which like is hilarious because you would think girl got PTSD. She's gonna be a great target, and I'm just like, I cannot explain to you. It's totally fine. I was prepared. I have an emergency button actually. I have an emergency button on my Stream Deck. I can hit it and everything was completely fine. So don't worry. It was not even a big deal. It was definitely bots cuz I also got follow botted and it was a lot of just like numbers and letters. The hate raid came in the chat. They had a hateful message that they were spamming about, you know, anti-black message, which I don't know why they like.
You.
Hi, Chip. Hello, thank you for resubscribing. Welcome back to the fold. Siberia. That is one that I haven't heard before. One moment. It's a good rule, Fuzzborn. Oh yeah. Yes, you really should. Epic-tastic. If you happen to have a Stream Deck, that's a really great way because then you can hit a button and you can chain a whole bunch of reactions. So mine like clears the chat, swaps into sub-only mode, it like puts some other protections on, and then it posts a message being like, hey, we're in sub-only mode. Sorry. And like those kinds of buttons are really useful. If you don't have a Stream Deck, you can get an app, a Stream Deck app. I think it's only like $3 a month, and you can put it on that. Otherwise, you'd have to do it like more manually and just be prepared with the steps in your head. It can just be harder when you don't have like a button to press. Okay, let me see. What was that? Siberia Trilogy. There we go. You don't understand why people are like that? You can't understand it honestly? I definitely feel like it's because POC and LGBT people are gaining power in society compared to the amount of power that they had like 20 years ago, where like, you know, not as much power. Now we have like, we're powerful, we have voices, we can speak up about issues and like unequal treatment, and things are changing to make things more equitable for people, and there's a certain segment of the population that just really doesn't like that, and they feel very personally affronted and offended and impacted by that, and that's called racism and like, you know, homophobia and all of that, and those people are real and they definitely exist, and I have interacted with them many times before in my life. They're legitimately just out here trying to hate and trying to make people too afraid to continue what they're doing, which definitely means that what you're doing is working. It's like when you're a news reporter and like they start trying to sue you and stuff, and you're like, ooh, I'm doing good. Like, you know, it's like that. It's exactly like that. You're like, you get a hate raid and you're like, I'm on the right track. Oh, not the racism part? Oh, will do. Got it. Got it. Yeah. I can also if you would like to send me like a DM on Discord or on Twitter or something, and just remind me to do this because I have something to do right after this, and so I will probably forget. But there is a video that I can send you where somebody walks you through step by step how to set up like an anti-hate raid emergency button, and it's a really great video. She did a great job. For the first two, is it not great voice acting for the last one? Oh, oh yeah. Yeah, laptops are really hard to stream from, to be honest with you. Laptops are really hard. I am not gonna lie, I would really highly recommend a Stream Deck for anybody who is a streamer. If you do a lot of like video editing where you use a lot of like keybinds, and also for like Photoshop and stuff like that. Like I use it just on the day-to-day, frankly, for like a lot of different things. It's really convenient. I do not regret investing in this a single bit. I would recommend the 15 key one. It is the most expensive one, but you do end up using a lot of the keys. If you're the kind of person who gets into how to like set this stuff up, I would recommend it. It's a good point, honestly. Oh, enjoy your party? That sounds fun. Thank you, Chip. Thank you. I like it too. It was a gift from a friend. You got a hate raid once? Stop you streaming for like a month? See, that's... I'm sorry that you went through it. I'm sorry that you went through that. It's like, I brush it off as much as possible, mostly because I like brushing it off because it infuriates. It infuriates the people who are trying to scare me, right? And I also have like, I just have like a long history of facing whatever. I have a history of dealing with that kind of thing, so I'm really good at dealing with it. But like, if you're in a vulnerable spot, or, I mean, it doesn't matter. That kind of thing can be really, really affecting. And it, Twitch needs to be doing a better job. And I'm sorry. And it wasn't your fault. And like, that you aren't able to like brush it off is also like, it's a really hard thing to deal with. The first time I dealt with it, it was really hard. It was really, really hard the first time. And I've only gotten better at it because I've prepared for it in advance, and like I prepared my mentality for it. I picked a way to think about it, and I stick to it really hard. First time is really rough though. I'm sorry. Twitch needs to do better. Yes. There was a Twitch boycott Was that last week? There was a Twitch boycott, I think, last week. Yeah. I don't scare. I don't, like, here's the thing about me. Like, if you scare me, if you, like, try to scare me, my impulse is definitely to, like, punch back. So, like, I don't scare easily because my reflexes are, like... yeah. But like, the other reason that I don't scare easily is because I've been through scary situations where I was scared and I figured out how to deal with them better. You know, it's like, I think a lot of times with stuff like this, because, like, with the hate raids and, like, especially on Twitter, people talk about getting hate raided, and all you get, like, they're like, I had a hate raid, and all you get is people being like, why didn't you have this set up? Why didn't you have this set up? Why didn't you protect yourself? And, like, there are people out here protecting themselves, and they're still getting hate raided, and especially if you're a bigger streamer, like, people will purposefully find ways around what you're doing to try to make it worse for you. And so, like, it is, to some extent, like, people really want to go in and they want to blame the person for, like, oh, you should just brush it off, or, like, haters gonna hate, or, like, why didn't you protect yourself, and, like, all this stuff. I think because hate raids are, like, done by this phantom other, and you can't, like, go find the person who did them, and you can't, like, attack them, everybody just goes back and goes to the one person who they can talk to and tries to tell them anything that is actionable. I'm being very charitable here, but I would like to think that that is what is happening when those moments happen. And oh yeah, right, yeah, that last that last email that they sent out. Well, like, first of all, can we talk about the fact that this has been happening for, like, over a month now, and it took them a month to send out an email and be like, hey guys, just so you know, we are aware of what's happening. And it's like, well, maybe if you said something like the first couple days this started happening, people wouldn't be that mad. You just were silent for a month and didn't acknowledge that it was a problem even. If you were aware, then do something right. Yes, yeah. And, like, when it's something like this, you know, the response is usually like, oh, but it costs money and they're working on it and it's hard. And, like, listen, I know some of the people who work at Twitch. I have sympathy for the employees at Twitch. I have sympathy for the literal people working at Twitch, because as far as I've ever interacted with them, those people all want to do the right thing. They, like, really genuinely do, and they're not given the resources or the time or the, like, option, because Amazon doesn't think it's a priority. And if Amazon doesn't think it's a priority, you're not allowed to work on it, because they have to pay you if you're going to be working on that, and they don't want to pay you for that. So Amazon and like, Amazon has the resources. Like, yes, it takes some time to think of solutions to these problems. Amazon has the resources to expedite that process, and is choosing very actively not to, because it's not a big enough deal for them. It's not going to lose them money if a bunch of BIPOC and LGBT creators across Twitch, especially small ones, are getting run off the platform. And so they don't care. So just everybody keep that in mind as you interact with Twitch and as you express your opinions at Twitch. More so than streamers getting mad, I think it helps for viewers to get mad at Twitch and to express to Twitch that something needs to be done, that this is interrupting your enjoyment of a stream, that this is making you not want to spend money on Twitch. I don't know, like, you're not watching Twitch as much. I don't know. Let them know that it's gonna hurt Amazon's bottom line, because that's the only thing Amazon cares about. No appeals to morality are gonna work with Amazon, because they're not moral. They're not people, and the poor employees at Twitch are just, like, stuck not being able to help anything. It's really sad. And they're just ignoring the larger problem. You think sites should start charging to create an account, $5 or under for each account, so it's not too expensive? That would be a great idea that they are never going to implement. They're never going to implement that, Connor, because... Or, you know what they could implement? They could be like, you have to insert your credit card and then just get charged $1. And, like, we'll refund you the $1 just to prove that you're a real person. That would be great, because then it's like, I mean, I still don't think that they would ever implement that because they want as many people as possible to sign up for Twitch because they still get money from people watching ads and stuff. But dude, the thing is that people are getting genuinely harmed by this. Like, again, especially on Twitter, people being like, oh, people act like it's not that big of a deal. And people like me, I can brush it off. And so that kind of gives people this assumption that like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that harmful. These can be very, very harmful. It can be, especially when you're attacking people who are already marginalized, who are already typically going through struggles, being ostracized in their real life, like being rejected by family and like, you know, who are struggling with like real actual things, who are already getting targeted for hate in other ways. And then you're like, it's not safe. It's genuinely unsafe. It's genuinely harmful. It's genuinely unhealthy. The fact that Twitch just thinks that they can ignore it because the majority of the viewer base doesn't know what's happening, and the majority of the viewer base, and probably a majority of the viewer base doesn't care, is also part of the truth. Like, you know, one of the rough parts about being an ally to people who are minorities is that you learn, and like it gets really fatiguing because you realize how often people don't like have problems and then nothing happens like this because it doesn't matter enough to the whoever's in charge.
I'll support you.
But yeah, sorry, I got distracted off of my the fear of litigation. It's penis rocket. It's accurate. Amazon is pretty much one of the worst companies, just unbridled capitalism. And how it's bad for people and stuff when you came back and had that VOD taken down for breaking terms of service. Oh my god, what? Wow, that's a lot. Wow. Oh, that's rough. Oh my god, I can't believe that happened. Did you... Exo, did you come in on a raid? I'm sorry, I'm unsure that we've met before. Melia, hello. Aw, thanks for stopping by and saying hi. That was really sweet. Thank you for resubscribing as well. Welcome back to the fold. Oh, from another time at some point. Okay, gotcha. If you're an aspiring streamer to see hate rates, yeah, yeah. If they show they're a legitimate... Well, and Fuzz, there's been cases of... Because one of the things that some of the hate raids do is that they will raid you they will, like, follow bot you, hoping that the username appears on stream because the username can be, like, a slur. It can be yeah, it can just be a slur, and then people can report the stream to try and take the VOD down and have you banned because you're practicing hate speech, which, like... People have gotten banned for that, for being follow botted, and they've been banned for that in that way. And again, like, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, it took Twitch a month to respond, and not only did it take them a month to respond, but there's people who don't have their accounts back. There's people, like, if you know that this is happening, if you apparently knew that this was happening the whole time, then why don't those people have their accounts? Talking about hate raids is copyright. Apparently so. Twitch doesn't need to reinvent the wheel to fix any of this. They don't want to. Like, I don't think that they want to. And not because the employees at Twitch don't want to, but because Amazon doesn't need to. Like, again, it's not hard. Like, Amazon's always been this way, and a lot of companies are this way, so it's not hard, but it's like, genuinely, it doesn't matter. And I want people to understand this about big companies because it helps you not be disappointed by stuff like Blizzard. It genuinely does not matter how many people get hurt as long as the organization itself can keep functioning. It is a principle of, oh God, what is the, sociology. It is a principle of sociology that a system will do whatever it needs to do to continue the system on, and it will resist change no matter what. And so if that means that the system, like Blizzard, was a really hostile place and like not a great place when it was founded, it's going to stay that way because it's going to resist any kind of change as it moves forward. They're amenable to adding things on, but it's really hard to go in and get any kind of core real example of change to happen. And it's a really helpful way because like it helps you understand kind of large frameworks of people working together. When you understand this principle, it also, like, you can use this for friend groups, you can use this for like church communities, you can use this for companies, you can use it for governments, like it's a whole thing. Also, HR is not your friend. Yeah. Too big for its own britches. Well, I can't. The other thing is EXO. The other thing is that I can't say that that's the first time I've heard that that's happened. I've heard similar stories. So, yeah. You like, right, Fuzz? I understand you would like want that to not be the case. But the thing is that like for EXO, like they were hate rated, right? So all it takes is one person who is following that hate raid, and if they report the VOD, sometimes Twitch will just do it automatically. Sometimes Twitch will like scan it and be like, oh, we found a word we don't like, it's off. And like if somebody reports it, again, like that's how the follow bot things happened. The names were appearing on the screen and people got banned. Or like people were like responding to it to be like, how dare you say something like that? Don't say that in my stream. Those are the rules. And they said it in the process of like trying to be like, no, don't do that. We're banning you. People have also gotten banned for that. So it's just like, it sucks. But the thing to keep in mind about Twitch is that Twitch is an ecosystem. And at the top are the highest profile streamers who are currently bringing in all of the money. Also important is that Twitch is not in the green. Twitch is still like losing money. So Amazon is really really what Amazon is doing right now is they're holding on to Twitch to see if they can make it turn a profit. And if they can't make it turn a profit, they're going to get rid of it probably, or they'll keep holding on to it forever just to see because they have the money and that fits their business model to do. But because of that, because Amazon is really focused on just trying to turn any kind of profit with Twitch, that's part of why this kind of thing is happening. They don't want to invest any money into stuff that is going to make the platform better but not going to directly earn them money. They just want to invest money into like getting big names on the platform and, you know, attracting the NFL or whatever, the basketball league, whatever they were doing, the NBA. And so like that's where their focus is. They're just, so you have all those people at the top who are high profile and bringing in a lot of money for Twitch, bringing in a lot of viewers, and then you have all these people at the bottom who are small, who could one day be really big, but who right now are small. And Twitch doesn't care if those people get stomped out because they're not bringing in money anyways. They're just like extra load on the servers. This sounds really cynical, and I'm sorry that it sounds really cynical. There are some companies that actually like have values and care. Like there's companies out there that have values and care. It's just that Amazon is not one of them. Over Google? I don't think either of them are gonna. All right, Epic, enjoy your party. Have a great time. It's weird how many popular internet sites are in the red. It's what's weird about it is the fact that like what's weird about it is just that like this is like a thing that's like what's weird about it is that it's a thing that we have venture capital and the whole point is just to have things be in the red kind of as long as the investors can keep funding it until it becomes blue. And like Twitter green, and Twitter went in the green in like 2015 or 16, and like YouTube, it was around that same time, and like a lot of other sites are still just not earning money. And it's impressive, like, you know, like WeWork. And it's impressive that this is like a thing that America is doing. I'm not going to talk about whether or not it's good or bad, because I think that that's a pointless argument to have, because it's just like impossible to say, because there's so many individual situations and like so many different outcomes from this system being this way, and it's just impossible to lump it into good or bad either way. But it is very fascinating that this is a thing that we're doing and that this is how it's happening and all that. It's pretty wild. Yeah, it was really that was really messed up, EXO. It was TOS'd by Amazon. What the heck? Okay. Yeah, that's really suspicious. Yeah, what the Me like having a lot of opinions. Go ahead and try to mute me, Amazon. I dare you. If you don't think that that won't make me go on a really long crusade against you, you're wrong. And I don't mean to scare you, but I have listening ears. I don't know. I'm trying to sound scary. What's scary? I will make a game about it. Oh, EXO, no, that's not, or sorry, Fuzz. Fuzz, yeah, I don't think that that's what EXO is saying. I think you misinterpreted what EXO was saying there. It's okay. EXO is completely fine, completely in the right about what they're talking about. Yeah. Wow, Stumped! Hello! Hello, Stumped. Welcome on in. Welcome on in, everybody. How are you guys doing? Kiwi. Oh, the Kiwi game. Was it good? Was it a good game? I saw that game. Man, Kiwis hold like a really particularly weird place in my heart based off of, I don't know if anybody saw that like one, and we don't need to go into it, but if anybody else saw that one really sad Kiwi themed animation on like, what was it, like Newgrounds or something a really long time ago? Sad. But the game looks really cute. Well, welcome in, everybody. Thank you so much for the raid, Stumped. Oh, it's hard to have those conversations when you get muted or taken down by Twitch. Okay, got it. Well, my bad, Fuzzborn. I misinterpreted what you were saying. Your good thing for today is your research advisor thinks you're... Yay! You know, I think you're ready too, though. You did a really good job when you were practicing with us. And you've been practicing so much. I think you got this. I think you can be confident heading in. That's very exciting. I hope you do a great job. Fingers crossed. Good luck. Yeah. If it was TOS by Twitch, you'd have less suspicion, but it was Amazon, you just lost it. I like can't, especially when like they should be the ones helping you in that moment is the thing. They should be the ones helping you, not. I like, it's fine. I feel bad because like Amazon is kind of like, I get angry, but like I just can't get that angry just because like almost as like a self-protective measure, my body is like, Cara, you don't have the spoons to get angry at Amazon. You're chronically ill. And I'm just like left with this just like disgust. I don't know. I'm just like so deeply I just like Amazon. It's just, I don't necessarily like a lot of blanket statements, but Amazon's not a force for good in the world. Y'all, like Amazon's not great. Buy stuff off Etsy instead. And the VOD, oh, and then the VOD just, and then right, oh man, right back on top. Yep. Boop. I'm really sorry that you had to have that experience. I'm really sorry that like people out there doing this to you, and then on top of that, the authorities just freaking like the people who could help you just completely abandoning. And like, yeah. So once again, everyone, if you have it in your heart to shoot Twitch a little email or shoot them a little bit of just a little like @Twitch tweet and express to them how financially this is impacting your decision to want to stay on Twitch or to contribute monetarily towards Twitch, I think that that's a great move that you can do to help. Yes. All right, let me, so I said I was only going to stream for a couple of hours. Oh my God, it's almost 5:30. Oh no. I said I was only going to stream for a couple of hours. My bad. So let me see. I want to find somebody to raid, but would you also like to share? Getting that emotion booped away broke you. And it makes sense. It makes sense that it would in a moment when you were vulnerable, you know? Like, and for me too. I seem very strong here on Twitch, and like that's fine, but that's because like hate raids and stuff are not the thing that gets under my skin. Like this is just not the stuff that upsets me. I have my own stuff. I mean, I have PTSD, right? Kind of like what I was saying earlier about how you never know like what's going on behind the scenes. I don't stream when I'm particularly mentally unhealthy, right? I don't stream when I'm mentally unhealthy because I have a risk of like lashing out at people that I really don't want to do because I can't, because I have PTSD. And like when I've been in those raw spots where like you're just vulnerable and you're in the moment and then something happens and it sets, and you know, and like it's not your fault. It's not your fault. Like when you're vulnerable, that can just happen, you know? You don't get emotional normally, so so you were already heightened and then boop, and yeah. No problem. Thanks for hanging out with us too, RJ3. Well, yeah, as we swap over to, and we're gonna raid somebody too, so stick around, but as we swap over, would you all like to share our tradition, one good thing that happened today or something that you're looking forward to? Oh no, I had something I was looking forward to. Oh no, what was it? Oh no. I'm so bad at like time and remembering things. It's fine. Right. It wasn't something to look forward to. That's why I couldn't remember it. I'm grateful for the message that I got about to be with you today. I'm grateful for the feedback I got. It was really impactful. And I'm like happy to learn that I had like the game that I made about unhealthy relationships, whose goal was to help people like get out of those situations and like understand them. And I'm happy that I'm receiving feedback from people telling me that it worked and that they have been helped and that their lives have been changed for the better. And that's definitely my good thing for the day. I'm sorry. Well, I hope that it never happens. I hope that it literally never happens again to you. And I hope that you can grow as a streamer. Oh, he's getting to watch my stream. Aw. It's gloomy and rainy outside. Well, I'm glad that you had a good day, Fuzzborn. Yeah. Yeah, sneer at Amazon. Yeah, smell you later, Amazon. Okay, let me see. Who are we gonna raid today? Gosh, there's so many. Oh no! What are you doing? Okay, I know who we're raiding, and they're a small streamer. They don't have a lot of, oh, they're still streaming, right? Yes, they're a small streamer. They don't have a lot of people in their chat, so this is gonna be fun. And they're playing Arcade Spirits, and they're at the end of Arcade Spirits, which is really fun. So we're gonna raid them and send some of the stumped people over their way because Enna, our friend Enna, Sharky Enna, or Peachy Enna as you might know, made Arcade Spirits. So I'm gonna support that. That's raid so hard. You managed to leave the house in affirming clothing for the first time in a t-shirt with, ooh, yeah, I support that sentiment. Good, I'm glad you got to do that. And I hope you get a good night's sleep. Yeah, I'm excited for the sequel. Well, I've got another game, it's true. You had a good day because you weren't stressed out or worried about grades or anything. That's great. Oh, because of my work on, you really enjoyed the writing on Asagao Academy? Thank you. Thank you. You haven't been to many streams. That's fair. if you want to follow more of my game work, because I'm going to be making a game called Pride versus Prejudice, which is a multiplayer, what is the word? A multiplayer competitive narrative-based game, a visual novel. It is a complex, it is gonna be great, is what I'm trying to say. It's called Pride versus Prejudice. If you want to catch up with me and like my game work, my Patreon, or like follow me on Twitter, and I do have To Be With You, and I have like a bunch of other games that I've worked on that aren't my own personal games, so if any of those interest you, there's a ton of links for you. That Todd. You're like, oh shit! Yeah. Well, if you're into all those things, then I recommend probably the Patreon as the most reliable way. It is $2 a month, but like I'm literally in the process of transitioning to mostly making my own games instead of just working on other people's games. And so if you want like behind the scenes stuff and stuff like that, then that'll be where you can go, and I'll be posting updates and like giving sneak peeks, and Pride versus Prejudice will definitely be happening, and I'll try to blast that out when we have our secret news for how people can help us with it. Hell yeah. Good society and you're into it. Hell yeah. Listen, hang on. Okay. I'm proud of it, so I'm gonna do one thing, and then we're gonna raid. I'm proud of it, and so I don't want to hear myself talk, but I'm gonna put this in there. That's like the YouTube video where a competitive multiplayer visual novel. That's the YouTube video where we talk about it and we showcase some of what we have going so far. And more stuff is going to be happening because we have a lot of it's fine. It's in production at this very moment. We're going to be talking about it a lot more, and it's very cool, and I'm very excited. Okay. So, okay, let's raid then. Thank you. I appreciate that. Also, shout out to Todd. Shout out to Todd Lee. Okay, the Juliancito. Okay, and to be completely honest, I do not remember where I found this person. They haven't streamed in a while, but we are going to be raiding the Juliancito. Just so you know, I believe... Okay, they don't have their pronouns listed. So probably just use they for right now, but they are a queer, Jewish, trans, Puerto Rican streamer. So if any of that sounds good to you, check them out. And then also Arcade Spirits is happening. Yes. So let's go. Bam, bam, bam. Get all the chair dances ready. Get hype. Get hype for all the chair dances. Again, there's only 5 people in the chat, so this will probably be a really significant raid for them. So like, let's go spread the positivity as much as we can. Oh, Micah! Oh no, Micah! Okay, bye! Thanks, okay, bye! Bye, thank you! Okay, bye!